Hey guys, Chris Ashley with Passion for the Wild and Wonderful. Welcome back to the channel. Today what I want to do is just go over being able to establish mineral licks or mineral sites for deer. And what I want to do is just go over some of the different minerals that I've used here in the past, some that I'm still currently using, talk a little bit about the benefits, and let you be a judge of how you might be able to leverage this as part of your plan with trying to improve your deer herd, whether it be for larger bucks, healthier herd, or some of these other things that we're going to talk about. So let's just go ahead and jump right in it. So we're talking about here minerals, and to me minerals are just part of the programs that we're probably, or that at least I deal with, to try to improve the herd and the quality of the animals that I have to hunt. So with that, I mean, I do, or we try to do deer supplementation, to where we will try to provide supplemental feed that's maybe 16 to 20% protein. We have the minerals that we also do, and also too, I'm doing spring and fall food plots. So with the spring and fall food plots as well, I'm also trying to build in that protein, the nutrients, minerals as well, to help carry them through the summer, help with their development for both feed, lactation, fawning, antler development and growth, and also just general health, trying to carry them through the winter. So the thing that you need to think about here as we talk about, at least specifically and focusing on minerals, are really, what is your goal? So is your goal that you just want to get pictures of deer? Do you want to have a general overall healthier herd? Do you want to try to help with antler development? Or just generally you want to use it as some type of a bait or attractant? Okay, so what I'm talking about here today are really two different kinds of products. So I'm talking about a block style of general salt kind of block, protein more related blocks, and then powdered kind of mineral. So a third would be a powdered mineral that would be going into maybe your supplemental feed. This is more of block or mineral that would be going on the ground versus into like a supplemental feed, as I said. Now for me, my goal is all the above. Not so much the attractant, I guess, as much as really for me, I want to use it to have some type of inventory of the herd that's on the property. I want to make sure that it improves the health of the herd. You know, to me, one of the things is that I've read and listened to about is kind of like fetal programming. And that, you know, if you're able to go ahead and start establishing those minerals and into those fawns as they're being developed and as they're dropped from the does, and then it just carries all the way through. If you can come out healthier, they've just got a jump start on life, and I think it's just a better start to come out on it. The other thing is too is I want to make sure also that I'm having bigger, healthier bucks. So what am I really out there after? I'm out there to try to kill the best buck, most mature buck that I can on the properties that I'm hunting. So those are really the things that are my goals with the minerals. And so when I sit here and I say, okay, do minerals help? Well, I would say that they can't hurt. And I look at it as normal reference to our lives. You know, as we grow up, you know, we have pregnant mothers that are taking prenatal vitamins. We have ourselves growing up that might be taking multivitamins or vitamin C's or some other types of other vitamins that we take. You know, whether we are doing things such as weightlifting or physical training, we might be taking other types of supplements, whether it be proteins or creatines or some other type of performance enhancing kinds of things, but really just trying, and I'm not talking steroids, but I'm just talking about things that are just trying to supplement what might be a lacking diet. And, you know, if you also apply that too, we also apply minerals and supplementation to livestock. So I would think that farmers are not going to sit there and be throwing in all this mineral and all this additional feed into their livestock if they're not able to immediately be able to report and say that yes, it is absolutely helping. So again, I don't have the scientific data or study to say that minerals help. I would say that it can't hurt, but I would have to think that it does help. You know, if we go back to talking about bucks, it's pulling from the skeletal system when they're helping to develop their horns, also from their diet. If I can help provide that additional supplementation through the mineral sites, mineral licks, then that means I'm just giving them the ability to have the potential there more than what they would otherwise if there was lacking in their environment. So what I want to do is just go through, talk about each one of these little ones here that I use, some of the benefits, and how I apply them in part of the programs that I do. So one thing is that we know is salt. A lot of times we hear about salt blocks, mineral blocks. The big thing that you find across the board is that salt is what really is the big attractant that's in these minerals. The deer are going after and wanting that salt. So the benefit comes through, in my opinion, as you go through, and really what I've tried to lay out is the highest salt content and dropped it all the way down to the lowest salt content as you go across this table. But what you run into is, what is a more overall healthier, broader spectrum mineral versus what is it that you're getting just straight from, let's say, salt. So if we start over here, this is just a standard livestock trace mineral block. If I wanted to go even further, I could have the white livestock block that's probably almost 100% pure salt. Now in this trace mineral one, what this is 94 to 99% salt, and there's no calcium that's at least identified or called out on it, but there are other little cats and dogs of trace mineral that's made up into it. Now, what have I found from my experience with it? I found that it does make and create a good mineral lick or a mineral site as far as the deer wanting to come, hit it, and be attracted to it. Next then is what I would talk about is the trophy rock. So a lot of us are familiar with the trophy rock. You see a lot of great things, people talking about you want to get pictures, set out a trophy rock, they're going to hit it. Well, again, the reason being on that is it's 91 to 96% salt. There's anywhere from like 0.35 to 0.85% calcium. And normally some of the things that you hear and read about is that you want a calcium phosphorus ratio of around 2 to 1. So calcium being the higher and phosphorus being the lower. In this one's case, the phosphorus is only like 0.002%. So you don't really have that 2 to 1, but at the same time too, you're really dealing with hardly any calcium at all. So again, you're almost dealing with a straight salt block again. So are they getting much mineral, much nutrition out of this? Not really. They're getting that salt. And we'll talk about here, what's the real draw, what's the benefits as well for them on salt. Then we talk about here about Lucky Buck. So been a big user of Lucky Buck. For me, one of the big things with Lucky Buck, well, let me back up. So trophy rock. I do still a lot of times use the trophy rocks. I will tell you here in a little bit of how, but it's more of using it as an attractant in conjunction with some of the other products that I prefer that provides, I think, a more holistic supplementation or benefit from a mineral or nutrient standpoint. But as a standalone, I generally am not using that because I don't see that I'm getting a benefit from it as much as I can something that has a broader coverage. But with the Lucky Buck, with it from an attractant standpoint as well, is it has a couple little things that go for it. Well, one, obviously in this case here, it's like a strong apple-scented aroma that serves as a large attractant. They can find it quickly and easily. The other thing is too, is we're stepping down 91, 96% salt, 64, 65% salt. Okay, so we did step down on our salt content. We are coming up some on our calcium. So on this calcium here, we're around 12.5 to 13.5%. And then in the phosphorus, they don't have anything called out or listed. So we're not getting that potential proper ratio of 2 to 1. So what we are getting though is we do get that salt, which is beneficial to the deer, and we are getting the calcium. And we'll talk again a bit where the benefits of that calcium come in. But you also get that attractant from the scented aroma that comes into that. Now, this right here is the bagged mineral. This is the Maximizer Deer Mineral from Real World. You might not be as familiar with it. But this this is really my go-to that I prefer as I look through their data and their breakdown across it. This has a lot of different minerals, vitamins, nutritious value to it that I think completely outweighs these others. What it has is, again, I'll say this one stepped down to 64-65% salt. This steps down to like 35 to 42.5% salt. The calcium is jumped up a little bit to like 12.7 to 15.2, and they maintain that proper calcium to phosphorus ratio. It has a phosphorus minimum of around 7%, so we're maintaining that 2-to-1 balance. The thing is, I think with this though, is with the salt content dropping a little bit down, my understanding is that salt also helps to potentially knock down some of the bitterness of some of the other minerals or vitamins that are in some of these. So you might get a little bit of a drop off on that attractiveness from the reduced salt and then a higher level of some of the other minerals, which is one reason why, as I said when I got to here, I kind of use this in conjunction with some of this other. So what I'll end up doing at times is I'll go ahead and put in a mineral site or a mineral lick with this bag powder or bag mineral, and then I might go ahead and set on top of it a trace mineral block or a trophy rock, or maybe I'll even sprinkle in a little bit of the Lucky Buck on top. Now really all I'm doing for it is I want them just to be attracted to it as it rains and we have some of the wash off of the higher concentrated salt into it. It might help to not make that be quite as bitter. But as you'll see, my son and I, we did a video already here that we're going to add here at the end that you'll see of doing a mineral site mineral lick with just this straight powder. And I think within like the next day, they had already found it. We had put it in a good area and they were already hitting it. But in my opinion, looking at this one, as I said, it has a lot of other components to it. This to me is a more holistic, when I think about a feeding program, something to improve the health of the herd, the size of my bucks, this is where it really is. If I'm looking at just trying to maybe help deer in the summertime or spring where they're needing the salt, that would be where I'm leaning more over here on these types of products. But like I said, nothing says I can't do this in conjunction. Just as I might also do my bag mineral, and I might move over here as I get ready to cover the Antler King grainiac block and use that combination of, again, the attraction and then also too the minerals that they're able to pull in as well while they're there at that station. So I'll move over here. So again, stepping down again, this mineral here is more for just minerals, nutrients, vitamins, kinds of things. Then I move over what's more into like a protein block, and I don't know whether you'd really consider it a mineral block. I assume you would, but the real focus, in my opinion, on this one is more of like protein, fiber, fat. But when we do a comparison here, we'll step it down again, 35 to 42.5%, down to 1.4, 1.9% salt. So you're dropping the salt content way down. You're not really using that salt as an attractant. The calcium, your levels drop clear down. This is like the 12.7, 15.2 to 1.2, 1.7. Phosphorus is about a 0.5, so it is almost that 2-to-1. And then the protein though in this grainiac block is a minimum of like 16% and fat of 5. So really what you're running into this block here is this block is more of a protein builder for the deer herd. And what I mean by that is that's more going into trying to do body development, horn development, in my opinion, for like your does and your bucks. Not as much as going towards those minerals and vitamins per se. But the attractant that comes out of this is that it has the built-in molasses, it's got corn, sunflower seeds, it's got, I think, peanuts. I'm not sure what else in it, but in it by itself, it's a general attractant. So this to me is more like going into my other supplemental program of doing the higher protein feeding of 16 to 20% protein from, let's say January, December, all the way up into August, September. where the deer have finally got to where they hard-horned, that's where that real benefit, in my opinion, of the higher protein, fat, fiber content come in. But so we talk about all that. So what are the real benefits of these different minerals and the breakdown of them? So, well, one is the deer in the summer are sodium deficient, and that's happening because of the high water content and the potassium that's in all the green food. So when we get that green lush that comes up in the spring and the summer, there's all that high water content that's in it. So what the deer naturally do are they're seeking out salt. And if we don't provide it, will they find it? Yeah, generally, you'll see and go out where they'll find natural salt licks and dig up the dirt and make their own and locate them. Now, what we're doing here is helping to provide that to them so they aren't necessarily having to go clear off our property to where they've located a salt lick or a mineral lick. We're providing everything they need right where they are and right where we want them. Okay? And that's for both bucks and does. So the other thing is with that sodium deficiency, that causes issues with them being able to control and manage their diet. Now, with it also, the other benefit is that it helps the does with their gestation and lactation by having the salt and the minerals during the spring summertime. Let's talk about bucks. So for me, again, can I sit there and say that it helps? I don't know, but I can't say that it hurts. When you look at a deer's antlers when they're growing and they're not hard-horned, the makeup of it is roughly 80% protein, and the rest then I think primarily is the breakdown of calcium. So what you're looking at is there's all this protein going into those antlers growing. So to me, again, as I refer back to the supplementation of doing 16 to 20% protein, that's really trying to help that body development and the antler development. Same thing with where this block, in my opinion, comes in. Now, once they hard horn, then it's roughly equal percentage of protein and minerals. And when you talk minerals, you talk about the calcium and phosphorus. Those two combined are anywhere around 30 to 35% makeup of hardhorn. All right, so now we start talking about the calcium and phosphorus. Well, that is what is generally banked and stored in a buck's skeletal system, combined also with what's coming out of their diet. So, to me, this is where I talked about the fetal programming, trying to have healthier fawns come out at birth and helping them all the way through the development. In my opinion, my theory, my logic on this is if I can help that fawn, that yearling, that 2.5-year-old, if I can help them develop their skeletal structure, their larger body size develop faster and more rapid, then that gives them that much more surplus, that more draw, that faster time to get to skeletal maturity, to where they have that larger surplus to pull through up into their horn or antler development. So to me, that's where I'm kind of on the boat and starting to really support where I believe that fetal programming, that if you can come all the way up through, it brings the whole entire health of the herd, larger, better bucks, all the way up through. So that's kind of where I am on it, is that with the food plots, with the supplementation, with the minerals, I'm trying to help develop their skeletal system, their bodies, the health, all the way up through from the time they are being born to the time that they reach maturity. And again, what I'm trying to also close that gap on is sometimes you might see is a fawn that's born early compared to a fawn that's born late, and the differences in body sizes, that a lot of times it takes up to maybe 3.5, 4.5, I want to say, years old before they finally maybe catch up with each other to have equivalent body size and maybe potential development, because that one already had a little bit of a later start that was born later in the year than the other one that was maybe born a little bit earlier in the summer or spring. Hey guys, I hope that you found this video useful. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell so that you get alerts on any upcoming videos that I'll be putting out. And if you haven't had a chance, check out the video, Creating a Mineral Lick or Mineral Sites, where my boy Mason and I take these minerals and we go out and we put a mineral site out in the field. You'll see that it's very quick and very easy if you know what you're doing. So thanks for coming, watching the video, helping support my channel. My name's Chris Ashley. This is Passion for the Wild and Wonderful, and we'll be bringing you the next videos.